Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar, as well as the Zippity Zip Zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat-wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall, and we'll pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started. I have to put this note in before the show starts. So this video should have been up last night. This should have been a normal recording, and I should have just posted it with no issues. But instead, what happened was, when I stopped filming, long story short, the file, so I use Loom, and it goes straight up into their website, and I can download it from there. Before I could download it, it told me that someone had deleted it, which is very freaking weird because my account, I'm the only one that has access to my account. So, I mean, it could be a glitch, but I've recorded, how many of these now? I've never seen that happen. But, and I'm not going to say how I did this, because if this was done on purpose, I don't want them to know how I did it. I was able to salvage the video. It took me freaking hours. The most difficult part was the audio. The audio was all screwed up. I had to go minute by minute to fix it. And it's not perfect. So I apologize. This video I am making public because I want to make sure people can see what's going on with the storm. I think I did a good job. I think you might not even notice anything happened to it. I hope the resolution's a slightly lower though, which stinks. But anyway, oh my gosh, I ended up falling asleep in the middle of this, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was still exporting. So anyway, I just got it done now. This is still the January 22nd show. All right, enjoy. Good evening. It is January 22nd, about 10:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. So I figure it would be fitting to start here, just so you guys can see that the NOAA slider has no data available since about 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday. And for those of you who will be like, oh, well, maybe it's just like so many people are on here. No, look, this is the latest available date, right? And so I'm going to click end date not set. The latest date available. This is the last time footage was transmitted to the server. 2350 UTC on the 20th is about 5:50 p.m. Central. I'm saying Central because of Texas. Texas is, all eyes on Texas right now. Honestly, all eyes on this whole area. You guys all remember that horrific winter Texas went through not long ago, and their infrastructure, I don't believe has even been massively upgraded since then. But then again, none of these areas are equipped to deal with what potentially could be hitting them in the next 48 to 72 hours. But have no fear. I have an alternative way to view these satellite images. It's just not as convenient because I won't be able to slide around and zoom in and get super high resolution, like I can zoom in and it will clear up. It's still loading, but you can see pretty darn clearly. But this was a couple days ago. All right, let's go to Normie News just to get a full picture of what they're projecting, and then we'll compare it to what we can actually see. Historic winter storm, 235 million in path of dangerous snow ice, with first impacts in less than 24 hours. A trailing blast of Arctic air associated with polar vortex is expected to bring a dangerous refreeze that could create long-duration power outages and paralyzed travel for days. Yeah, well, the power outages, that's the number one concern here because let's see, where's the map? Oh, cool. Yeah, this area is not prepared for that. The infrastructure is just not there. Up here, their grids are ready for that situation because they've had it forever. But now all of a sudden, we're seeing blizzards come as far south as Texas. Very odd. A lot of interesting things happening with the planet. It's a whole big mystery that we have to solve, right? I mean, we have all the bird migration maps are consistently showing that they just keep moving north. It doesn't make any freaking sense. We have these atmospheric rivers moving progressively north, which, we already have a study that shows it's moved a distance that is equivalent to the distance between LA and San Francisco. It's pretty big. I think it's probably bigger than that. Those storms should typically be closer to the equator. And now we're seeing the polar vortex become less of a vortex, shooting all this Arctic air down closer to the equator, towards the equator. Interesting stuff. All right, let's see what the normies have to say. Oh, now I'm going to put on my blue light block. Oh my gosh, my glasses. You see this? They're taped. Wait, is that the right side? Yeah, they're covered in tape because they snapped. Good thing is I have an exact pair as a backup. I just have to put the prescription lenses in them, so have to do that soon.
Now let's get to this massive monster winter storm that we're watching play out. The South and Central Plains, they're going to be first in line for feeling the impacts of this storm. So let's begin there. We take you between Dallas and St. Louis. Two different things are going to be playing out in these areas. We have this massive storm, and it's going to be bringing all of winter's worst. We're talking snow. We're talking wintry mix that could lead to ice and even some rain in the mix there too. But as we look at certain regions and take a look at who's seeing exactly what, you'll notice that for the Southern Plains, we have a lot of different alerts that are up. One of which is the winter storm warning where we could see snow in these areas. Another is the ice storm warning that's going to play out here too. So we're going to be watching as ice and snow are going to be moving across this region. Let's start with the snow first. Who sees what? The I-70 corridor, I-40 corridor, Oklahoma, Kansas, out towards, say, Missouri, even over towards Arkansas. I think this is where we have a good chance of seeing significant snow. Could be some of the worst snow that we have seen in over a decade. This does mean that we are going to be watching for heavy snow to come moving through. And as we look at even the consistency, it won't be that powdery snow due to the wind shifting out of the north. So it's going to be much colder weather that keeps this as all snow all the way down to the surface. Why that plays a big role is the fact that this is going to be sticking around for a while. That north wind allows for much colder air to come moving in. Now, where this becomes a little bit more complicated is going to be the ice factor. We have this ice forecast up because there's several different areas that may even get snow first, but then they get ice first, but then they finish off with snow. Or like here, Arkansas back towards northern Louisiana, you are seeing some of the thickest ice accretion. Over a half an inch of ice could lead to widespread power outages. So let's look at everything all together, right? We have the future radar up. You can see temperatures in an area like Dallas through the overnight are actually in the 60s with this south wind, that Gulf moisture. Here's our low forming and moving into that colder air over the next couple of hours or so. So by this time, say tomorrow, we are looking at this beginning to unfold. In areas where temperatures are super cold, we're talking single digits, that Arctic air really taking hold. An area like Kansas City or Wichita, we're seeing full-on snow. But if you look down towards Dallas, back towards, say, Midland, where we're hovering over the freezing mark or even well above it, it may start as rain and wintry mix, dropping the temperatures and then finishing as snow. And that's even more dangerous in a lot of those areas. From there, we take this storm to the southeast, where we're going to be watching for some of the similar impacts to unfold. The thing is, as we get towards the south,
normally I don't even cover news until normie news until the very end, but because this storm is so significant, I am playing what they have to say first so that we can, think about that as we look at everything else. And I am going to actually let this play all the way through, I think, You're welcome to scroll past it or, fast forward. There we go. That's the word. But might be relevant because they're talking about, the information that they're getting, and the information that they're getting isn't accounting for a lot of the stuff that we might see on NextRad. So I do want to hear what they're telling people.
Southeast, we have some big metroplexes. We're talking Atlanta, Charlotte, back towards, say, an area like Raleigh. These are going to be big cities that have this increasing opportunity for seeing crippling ice. We're watching closely. Temperatures, by the time we get into Sunday, do fall below the freezing mark. But until then, the lead up as this moisture comes pushing in does allow for, say, some wintry mix or ice to take shape. This is by Sunday morning. So we're looking at temperatures that are now below freezing at the surface. The problem is that we have some cold air damming happening, which means that we have cold air wrapped around that high pressure system that gets trapped close to the Appalachians. At the same time, to the south, the Gulf Coast is going to be seeing some warm air rise.
Is it me, or is she like completely mispronouncing so many different areas of our country? She's got a great, American accent, but it sounds like she's a foreigner with an American accent. The Gulf Coast? Isn't it the Gulf Coast? and I forgot how she pronounced, what was it? Wisconsin? I forgot. I can't remember. But there were that's the third time where I'm like, that's a weird way of saying that.
Above that cold air. That means our temperature profile from, say, about 15,000 feet into the atmosphere down towards the surface, there's different temperatures that are playing out. So we may have snow that has formed here, but then we see freezing rain and then freezing on contact down towards the surface. And that is going to lead to the ice component. So we do have some big pockets for some significant ice. Atlanta's on the leading edge where you can see about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch. It's those areas in that brighter shading of pink here that I'm really concerned about. That's 3/4 of an inch, getting close to an inch of ice in some of these areas. And that can certainly weigh down power lines. If you think about it, 1/4 of an inch of ice weighs about 200 pounds. So we're looking at over 800 pounds of ice that can lean on power lines, lean on trees, and definitely make for some nasty conditions on the roads. This sticks around through the first half of Sunday. Temperatures at the surface are below freezing, so any moisture that's falling is falling maybe as rain throughout some portion of the atmosphere, freezing on contact and leading to ice. That's the big concern across parts of the Southeast, the ice component of all of this, that crippling ice. There are some pockets back towards, say, the Tennessee and Ohio Valley that do get in on snow, and it is significant snow. We're talking record snowfall throughout parts of Kentucky. That could be quite possible. Now, the last part of this storm aims towards the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic. You have DC, New York City, Boston, all on the watchful eye for seeing upwards of nearly 1 foot of snow, some of the biggest snow in a snowstorm in years. We're talking up to about 10 years. So there's a lot to really take in here. The Northeast hasn't seen something like this. The Mid-Atlantic hasn't seen something like this in a bit of a while. Here's how things play out into Saturday. So most of this system is still taking shape across the country. We have a disturbance to the north with our jet stream kind of wrapped around and a disturbance to the south. At some point, the two merge a bit. And this is where we could see a lot of this energy hop offshore and create a coastal low. That is going to be the low that brings in the snow across the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. I-95 corridor is right in that zone for seeing some of the more potent totals that come out of this. Richmond, DC, Philadelphia, up into New York and even Boston. Look at some of these bright shadings of purple that pop up. This is where we've been watching the models very closely. We're getting into that forecasting window for the Northeast where we can start to lock in on the potential of these totals. Notice that there's about 10 states that have some of that purple shading. So that's anywhere from about 1 foot to 1.5 foot of snow. There's a couple of culprits that come in and kind of slice our totals a bit in some cities. But as for now, we do have winter storm watches that are in place all the way up the I-95 corridor as we are anticipating a snowstorm. As I mentioned, it's been a while. We haven't seen 1 foot of snow in some areas in over a couple of years. Boston, I think, is the most recent, where we've seen about 23 inches, so about 2 feet of snow back in 2022. Beyond that, for a city like Philadelphia or DC, we have to take it back to 2016, since we've seen totals like this. So as things kind of play out, we head into about Sunday morning. Things start as snow. There's our coastal low getting close to the coast. I think that is going to be one of the culprits. We get a little bit of some marine warmth coming in off of the Atlantic that brings in the opportunity for the atmosphere to warm a bit. And we could see some wintry mix, maybe some sleet that kind of shaves away at some of the totals. This is an area that is in desperate need of some snow, though. We are well below the deficit. This has been the case since 2021, where we're looking at anywhere from about 25 inches, so 2 feet of snow, to more than 100 inches below where we should be for this time of year. And we have got you covered before, during, and even after.
All right. Also, did you notice the during instead of during? I don't know what it is. I wonder what part of the country she's from. All right, and let's check out some of the data actually before we look at the trails and NexRad. We are completely out of order today, but you know, we've got an actual pretty severe event that we are monitoring. So for me, at least, I want to see the full picture with all the data before looking at the trails and NexRad. So these are all the severe weather warnings. We got probably rip current statement here on the eastern side of Florida. Why aren't you loading? Yeah, rip current statement. Ooh, you guys have some dense fog warnings in your southern Louisiana portion, but you also have severe winter storm watch and moderate cold weather advisory. Same with southern Mississippi. Severe winter storm watch and extreme ice storm warning. Again, Mississippi. Northern Louisiana, yeah, extreme cold watch. Gosh, so this wow. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. That's a lot. I've never seen so much of the country covered in warnings. Let's get these little ones over here, these little sections. Southern Arizona, you guys have moderate winter weather advisory. Ugh. Of course, this area is still under a dense fog advisory. This area has just been it honestly, it hasn't it let up for maybe a week or two, and it's back. And the AQI, I'm sure, is horrendous over here because of it. Moderate gale warning along your northern coastline in California. And then we have, oh, look at the air stagnation warnings still here in Oregon and Idaho, which is interesting, right? Because oftentimes we'll see those warnings here, but not here, even though the air here is oftentimes not moving. In fact, the air here it looks like it's moving better than down here. I don't know why California doesn't issue any of those warnings. I'm sure hopefully there's a good reason. Moderate cold weather advisory along your western portion of Oregon and southwestern portion of Washington. And here we enter New Mexico, severe winter storm warning. In fact, guys, I'm just gonna click around and it's gonna show you here what it is. I mean, it would take a long time to say out loud all these. So I'm just gonna click through. I will say the extreme ones though. Western Texas, you guys have extreme cold watches and severe winter storm warnings. Southern Texas, you guys have an extreme cold watch and I believe fog. Very shallow clouds bouncing between the surface and a few hundred feet off the ground. Yeah. Oklahoma, severe extreme cold warning. I know I said I wouldn't say them, but extreme cold watch, severe winter storm warning, and moderate winter weather advisory, moderate cold weather advisory, Colorado. Moderate cold weather advisory and moderate winter weather advisory. Yeah. Oh, Wisconsin. Minnesota. Oh, gale wind warning. Oh, sorry, severe, heavy, freezing spray warning along your Great Lakes. Northern Michigan, you guys have several different types of warnings. What is this? It's a lot. Come on. Southern Pennsylvania, you guys have an extreme cold watch. New York, you have sporadic, on the western side, extreme lake effect snow warning. Yeah, I wouldn't, oof, man, I can't, I wonder how much snow is going to end up there. Extreme lake effect snow warning here as well in New York. And this whole area has the cold, extreme cold warnings and severe winter storm watch warnings. Along your eastern coastline, you have severe heavy freezing spray warning. That's fun to say fast. Which is very interesting to see that on this coastline. I nearly always and only ever see those warnings coming off your Great Lakes. So this is very interesting indeed. On your eastern edge of Virginia and North Carolina, you guys still have those gale warnings. Maine. Severe, extreme, cold warning. It's severely extreme. Yeah. That's a lot. All right. Now I'll go around the rest of the world and click on whatever is red. Hard to see with my blue light blockers on. What's the difference between... Oh, yeah. Extreme coastal event warning. Waves from the northeast with significant height of 7 to 9 meters. I don't understand why they write this when this doesn't even exist. They need to write this in American. I'm sorry. 7 to 10 meters is what in American? Oh my gosh. So they got massive sneaker waves from like 20. Okay, so 23 to 33 feet. Oh man. Yeah, that is nuts. I definitely want to see what's going on out here. And severe snow warning. Man, Portugal. That is rough. And Italy just got hit pretty darn hard. And then, we saw those crazy snow storms in Russia. What is this? Tropical storm? Tropical cyclone? Central Australia, you guys have extreme heat warnings still. This is much bigger than it was. And was this a fire? Extreme cold. Just this one area. Extreme cold. I wonder what the elevation is. Great, now I have hiccups. Hey, I haven't had hiccups the last few shows. That's weird. Extreme blizzard warning. Sugar, you get so fine. All right, might as well cover the other data. So we've got tropical systems over yonder. 16, tropical storm. Projected to go out. East. Southeast. 9 dp. Tropical depression expected to go towards the Solomon Islands. 16U. Expected to go straight into Australia. Into Broome and Biden. How interesting. Now, we've had this dust consistently here in the Atlantic since it's been over 12 months now. Though this year it's better than last year. Last year all this dust was all over us. You remember that? Anyway, anytime it finally took a little step back, that's when our tropical systems were able to form. But other than those moments, too much particulate actually can prevent storms from forming. And the AQI. Horrific. Anything over 30, I think is bad. This is probably near LA. Man. It's not good. Was that San Francisco? These people don't get a break. I mean, seriously, if I lived here, I probably wouldn't want to live here anymore because this has been like this for months, and there's really no sign of it stopping. It's just like it's become the new normal. Oh, really bad over here too. I wonder what the fire map is. Let's see. All right. Wow, actually, this is very unusual. I'm not used to seeing smoke look like this. Now down here, it's standard. This place is just always on fire. Part of me wonders though, because the heightened sulfur dioxide, I'm thinking it could be industrial, not wildfires, because I can't find anything about wildfires in the area. It's odd. Yeah, lots of smoke here going all the way up. I wonder if there's something going on in the Gulf or the Gulf. Man, it's going all the way up. That's a very unique shape. Now, unfortunately, this map will only show us continental US and Canada. It will show us the smoke from Mexico and Central America, though, just not like where the fires are. Unless there are no fires here, and that would explain why we don't see that. We see the heightened sulfur dioxide. Let's go back to the AQI because, all right, nitrogen dioxide, very high in these areas, heavily responsible for their AQIs, except this area right here. PM 2.5, yeah. Aerosol, sulfur dioxide. Now this is interesting. Sulfur dioxide. Huh. One little pocket. Surface ozone. Ooh, carbon monoxide. Man, that's bad. It's really bad over here. Whole area. This is really bad. This is worse, actually. Huh. Carbon monoxide is really high. I don't compare us to other countries. We should compare ourselves to what's actually healthy. That's not healthy. All right, fire danger. Let's get that down. Extreme forecast. The keys down here. Extreme cold blue, extreme warm yellow and pink. Extreme meaning far outside. How far outside of the norm are these temperatures? Very cold. Wow. 100% colder or more. This is where we're seeing that those sneaker waves and all that crazy weather. Atmospheric pressure. Hmm. This is completely different from what they were showing. I could have sworn they showed this low coming down and then a low coming up. But the low's all the way over here, and this is barely anything. Interesting. Bird migration map. I haven't looked at this at all, but I'm going to bet that the most south we're going to see an arrow is horizontal. Next rad tracks. Yeah, see, they're all moving north. We're all moving north. Next rad, emits, you got Doppler, right? So when the signal hits a bird, it can differentiate between a bird and hail and a plane. So it will show the map where these birds are and what direction they're flying in, if they can determine that. And every time I've seen these, they're flying north. Doesn't make any sense. Fire information for resource management system. Pretty much heat signatures. Like we've got this one here in Hawaii because of that volcano that just doesn't stop. It'll stop, but it just really hasn't stopped. Fun fact, when I went to bed last night, I couldn't fall asleep. I was up until after 3 o'clock in the frickin' morning. And then I couldn't sleep past 6:30 in the morning. So I'm on 3 hours of sleep. And somehow, whenever that happens, I can get away with that a couple days in a row. Totally unhealthy. Nobody should do that. Just one day of messing up your circadian rhythm, you don't recover for 4 days. And any sleep that you missed, your body will keep seeking to make up for it. You can't just like miss out on 5 hours of sleep, get an 8-hour night sleep and expect to be fine. You're going to have to make it up sooner or later. And until you do, you can be hit with some lethargy. Usually in the short term, you won't be hit with lethargy because I believe it's adrenaline kicks in. Like I feel like I don't drink coffee. I can't handle coffee, can't handle chocolate or anything, but I feel like I just drank some coffee today. I just want to look over here. Just want to see this. What? I am a premium. Just want to get more information because if this thing really does end up being catastrophic, none of this information will be available in the future. Even though I am premium, I can't go back in time much. But if I could turn back time, oh, I don't want that. If I could find a way. Oh man, I was all about Pat Benatar when I was a kid. You catch me singing her at karaoke. I'm going to click on all these, all of them, just to get it. Just to have it. I've yet to get back to my vocal exercises, although my voice seems to be pretty back. I'm afraid I will push it too soon and then my voice will go away again. And I do not want to skip any more days making videos. Look at that current. Whoa. It's like a river. I already clicked on all those. All right, cool. We got it all. We did. Alrighty then. For next rad, you want to turn off your night shift. Don't have your amber glasses on. You want to see all the blue there is. In fact, I'm going to have to shut off my red filter. And you guys know I turn it all the way up. Well, almost. All right, let's see further back. All right, cool. And then we'll get a shorter time frame, but ooh, wow. Yeah, so This zip zap coming out of Nevada, I don't like that because that specific tower doing that, anytime I've seen it do that repetitively, something is amiss. In fact, all right, it's doing that about 3:45 UTC. I'm gonna write this down actually. Yeah, it's going. All right. Starts back up again around 3:25 UTC on the 22nd. Hopefully it doesn't kick back on around 21 UTC. That would be weird. Okay. Believe it or not, guys, I don't like finding patterns because patterns mean there's something causal. All right, so there is a pattern though. Yeah, it was around 3:30 UTC on both January 20th and January 22nd with 21:05 UTC on the 21st. If I get more time, let's see if we can find it before that. 20th. Oh, wait. Oh. Here we go. I was able to go back just a little bit more. I guess I could just pull up my own show. But because I've got it all. Nah. Wait. Interesting. So it was going at 3:45 UTC on January 20th. But on this particular time frame, at this particular time frame, it skips that by 10 minutes and it's disappeared. That's weird. It's not letting me go back. Good thing is I'm recording this, so I'm gonna check that out. That's pretty powerful. All right, what time frame are we at? That's fine. This area is still glowing like crazy. Usually we'll check. And also notice, by the way, when you look at the NEXRAD map, every single glow you see here is a NEXRAD radar station. The official statement is that it's just simply Doppler radar helping us track weather systems and give us forecasts, things like that. But the conspiracy theory is that these towers are equipped with greater technology than just Doppler, but that they're actually capable of manipulating the weather in various ways. One of those ways being that they can emit microwave. Well, we already know they emit microwave radiation. That's what Doppler is, but heightened amounts of it beyond what is disclosed to the point where it can actually heat up areas of the atmosphere, which can do multiple things. One of those things being that it can heat up an area, causing those areas to get extremely warm or, even enter a drought, be more fire prone. But then, when you create massive temperature swings, you can create severe winds. But probably the more interesting thing that it can do is that when you heat up an area like that, you can create a high pressure zone. And high pressure zones can be used to steer low pressure systems, aka storms. So let's say you got a low pressure system here, you have a storm and you want it to go that way. But, without any intervention, it would go probably that way. So what you would do is you could put, if you theoretically, you could put high pressure zones here and here, and that low would move along the open path, the path of least resistance. It avoids it, kind of like, two positive magnets trying to come together. It repels. Which is funny because they are opposites, but they do not attract. They actually do repel. I forgot what I was saying before I started talking about the glows. Oh, okay, yeah, I remember. So notice how these are red. Well, that's either because the data is not transmitting to the server or the tower's actually down. Because we'll see them flicker in and out and there'll be dead zones. Like if yeah, like for instance, look at this. See this area? Look at how it's black. It's like, oh, okay, there's no precipitation. No, there is. It's just the tower went out or it's not transmitting the data and it literally disappears the precipitation. So if you were looking on here to see when a storm was coming, it would be invisible. Everything entering this area would be invisible. And goodbye. Ooh, no precipitation for them. Well, they wouldn't know it, would they? All right, and just judging by the way the precipitation looks like there's a really good chance there's trails in here, definitely up here. Yeah, one of these towers went out. All right, let's pull up shorter time frame, but more frames in that time frame so we can really watch. I'm gonna let it play. Oh, we have some of that crazy static zip zap ray going on over here. Probably around sunrise, and again, can't quite find what the reason is for that. Compared to, oh, well, actually, yes. Okay, so I do know that when there's a lot of particulate in the air, it will do that. We know there's fires over there, right? All that smoke we saw. So that's very likely what that's about. Don't know what this is about. This has been constant. Then again, we do have the fog again. Many towers are flickering in and out. All right, let's zoom in. Gosh, I feel like a lot of towers over here are not transmitting the way they normally. Okay, so that one just came back. Yeah. So we have this flame-like radar coming off of Northern California, which in the past, if we see that for a long time, it usually means the area is going to get some extreme winds or wildfires might ignite over the next 48 to 72 hours. I do believe they have gale wind warnings up there right now. Yeah, I'm moderate gale wind warnings, but we see those all the time, and I don't often see this flame-like radar, so I do wonder about potential fire risk, just given the pattern that we've seen. This one just flickered in and out. Southern California is the only place in the entire country that zip zaps nonstop, literally 24/7, every day of the year. Yeah, it is the only place in the country that does that. And this is the area that's loaded with fog. I'm paying attention to the coastal states, then I'll do the central states. Definitely trails moving through here in New York. Probably this whole area. This is just the precipitation that next red's showing. Oh, uh-oh. So again, that area is weird. That's around sunrise. At night, the towers are more sensitive. But I did see, yeah, we have a fire right there, right? Yeah. All right, there it is. And that's right now. So they're doing it during the nighttime. So remember the spiral radar? It's back. Not a fan of it. Not associated with very good things. And we're just seeing a little piece of it. This thing is so much bigger than this in reality, but we can only see portions of it. It was going through the day too. You can see this is a big, giant spinning spiral emission, but we can only see a part of it right now. This direction is usually where we can see it the best. It's still going. It's spinning. Oh, here's, okay, so for a split second you could see the ghost of it. So it's here, here, see the pieces of it? There, there. I'll show you the full thing because I've got it. I posted a video on it a while ago. All right.
Guys, and this is...
Why don't you listen to me? I don't like the Substack player. It like doesn't, yeah, so this is what it actually looks like. Oh, come on. Why did I cover it? Yeah, so around the same time, this area was zip-zapping, though not as intensely. And you see how this area is glowing right here? That's the most visible. And that's exactly where this one is. See? It's moving through the exact same spot. So this is the most visible part. That's why we're able to see it the clearest. Probably just the way it's being emitted. That direction is the clearest. But yeah, when I saw it like this, the pattern was anytime I would see this, we would have fires ignite in southern and northern Carolinas. It was predictable, and it still is actually. If I see it there, I haven't seen it there for days at a time. Before I was seeing it days at a time, and then we saw those fires ignite. Weird stuff. Let's move on, because after this we're going to go over trails, and then I think maybe I'll show you a couple news articles, but that's about it. And although I want to make a regular YouTube video for Instagram, gosh, I'm gonna force myself to go to sleep. Yeah, that tower's going in and out. I am making this show free. I will do that before really major events because I don't want to put, you know, really life-saving, but potentially life-saving information. I don't want to put that behind a paywall. That's just evil. I mean, not evil, but it's, you know, it's not the right thing to do. In fact, I don't want any of this to be behind a paywall. I'm still working on obtaining sponsors to help me keep it free. This one's going down. Down, down in an earlier round. Sugar, we're going down swinging. What? What happened to the zip zaps that we saw? Were those not tonight? Were those... I could have sworn I saw those tonight. Maybe it was the previous night. Okay, yeah. I don't like this. All right. All right. Giving it one more chance. See if I can actually view the radar. Wait, end date 23rd. Oh no, that's the time. Dang. All right, backup feed it is. Alrighty then. And again, this is not the stuff I normally use. This is not the Nova slider. I have far less freedom on here. This looks the same, but if I zoom in, it loses resolution very quickly. But I'm just kind of getting a general overview. There are zoom in. Okay, so I can very clearly see trails over here heading east. Definitely trails coming in over here. There's definitely a ton of trails mixed in here. I would also bet that, yeah, I can see them over here. Lots of them coming in starting in northern Mexico. Was so busy today, guys. I didn't even get ready today. I mean, like, I got dressed. I just didn't do like my hair and my makeup. So hence the hat. So busy. So busy. Annoyingly busy. Oh, we're seeing some trails down here, which is odd. The last time I saw that was the night Maduro was captured. I will say, though, this is far fewer than what we saw then. I do believe that was for blocking radar. All right. Just another zoomed out version. I think I'm hitting my wall. And that adrenaline is like giving up. I also turned off my super bright white lights. Definitely trails right here. Yeah, we'll be able to see better when we zoom in. Slightly more zoomed in. Okay, yeah, there are definitely trails mixed in here and here. Oh, a lot of trails mixed in here. And there's obviously plenty going out there into the Atlantic. Let's zoom in. All right, so this is Washington, Oregon, Idaho, California. Oh, every single black line you see is left by aircraft. People ask me all the time, it's like, how do you know that they're man-made? How would you know that? I know that because, well, on the Nova slider, it's even better. But watch how they get left. See, that one went up, that one went up, this one went that way. You can see, like, let's look at that one. That one's, how do I rewind? Oh, I'm not used to this. There we go. They thicken out the longer they're there, and then they start to drop in altitude. So like they can start off black. Now the color indicates altitude with black being the, oh, interesting. You know what's weird is the key on the Nova slider is different. It's like black is the highest and then purple's the lowest, but I don't remember seeing dark blue up here. And then pink is dust. That's its own separate category. We definitely have trails going over Nevada. I'll have to get a better view of this from the Pacific. I would bet there's trails in here. What stinks is this is not, let's pause it. Definitely trails in here over Oregon coming into Washington. I can see all those lines. I'm sure we'll see the evidence of that when we look more into the Pacific. Definitely trails here in Idaho. Definitely a lot of them over in Nevada. I can see them here over this spot. And you can see the fog actually. I know this kind of light color here, that is the fog. Trails up here in Utah. Just another angle. more south. Definitely a lot of trails mixed in all through here. Okay, I did see some trails mixed in over here. But man, I wish I could zoom in better. You know, people will be like, the nose slider might be down, but oh wait, that's I guess I have to actually do this. But yeah, the nose slider is the best. The nose slider is the best. I can't find out the kind of information that I would be able to find out on the nose slider. However, this gives me plenty. We know where the trails are. But in areas that are questionable, it's more difficult to confirm. Where did I? Oh, so many moving through here. Look at all that. Wow. All through here, all through here. Oh, yeah, all through here. It's a dirty, dirty day, guys. Look at all these. Boom, 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 boom. Every black line you see is left by an aircraft. If you really want to take the time, just pause it, rewind it, and just kind of scroll back and forth, and you'll see the line get left like whoop or whoop. It starts off thin, but then it spreads out into a haze and eventually precipitates. Another angle. We're going back west, I guess. Yeah, all over here. My goodness, it's absolutely loaded. Coming through Arizona, New Mexico, going into Texas in mass, Utah, all the way to, what did we see? It was past Oklahoma, right? Yeah, look at all that. Oh my gosh. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Now again, and I say this, but I have a lot of new subscribers, so I want to repeat it. There are thousands of trails. Thousands of trails. Is every single line you see a chemtrail? Is it? Or if I've said this on Instagram before, I don't know, or X, but when there's a lot of particulate in the air, whether it be from wildfires or volcanic eruption or something artificial, when you have those excessive particulates in the air, a plane flying through that space is more likely to leave a persistent contrail, an unusual contrail, like the kind that you can see lasting far beyond when a contrail would normally last. So the question is, are all of them chemtrails? Or are some of them chemtrails? Or do we have a ton of ground-based generators? I do think we've got a lot of aircraft, though, because those go up nice and high. Ground generators are not, obviously, they're on the ground. They're not very high up there. Anyway, you guys can see there are thousands and thousands of lines going through these states. And forgive my habit of saying lines. I've definitely become accustomed to censoring my words to ensure that the video can prosper. Lots and lots of trails coming through Texas. My goodness, look at all these. See, if you were on the slider, I'd be able to, yeah, look at all these faint lines and they spread out into this haze. There's so many. Now, with all the different cloud layers, it's tough to like actually differentiate between a trail and like the rest of the clouds. But remember, a lot of those clouds could just be made from a bunch of other freaking chemtrails for all I know, or whatever. But in the areas that are less dense, you can see, well, zooming in doesn't help on here. You can see trails. So many, and they're all over here. Very faint, but they're there. They're all over the freaking place. Sorry for documenting the yawn. I think, like I said, I've hit my wall. When I'm done with this show. Oh, that's right, though. I have to like put it into CapCut, edit it, you know, add all my stuff, and then export it. You gotta wait for that, and then you have to upload it, and that takes forever because I refuse to downgrade the resolution. It does downgrade though to a certain extent, but I don't let it go down much further than the original. I wish I could keep it at the original resolution. Can I pause it by clicking? Yeah, guys, look at all these. Oh my gosh. Oh, there we go. See, on the little slider, I can, when I scroll, look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. It's all the time, but it's like if you give a child some crayons at a restaurant. Remember when we were kids? Oh, well, millennials. I don't know, but probably other people too. You'd go to restaurants and they would be covered in big pieces of paper and they'd give you crayons. I loved that. I haven't eaten at a restaurant in almost 15 years. I've been to one called Sun Cafe in Los Angeles. They're like organic. I've been to Panavino in Las Vegas. They have an organic portion, or they had an organic portion of the menu. I got a meal once. So I've eaten at a restaurant maybe 3 times in the last 15 years. So many trails, guys. So many freaking trails. Wow. And they're all moving into New England. This storm is loaded with the trails. So many. It's a little zoomed in. I can't stop yawning. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think I've been this sleep deprived doing this show before. It's so, oh, wow. I'm waving back to the end, beginning. I saw Joe live. It was cool. Joe is a band, by the way. Lead singer is one of the main actors in Stranger Things. Wow, so many trails moving into the Atlantic and a lot of trails already here passing through. And for those of you who don't know, that's Pennsylvania, New York, North Carolina, Virginia, and so on. We have a lot of states up here. Wow. This is a top-down view. There's great. Stop yawning. Gosh, guys, this must be so boring to listen to the freaking host yawn. Greenland's right here. You got New York, Pennsylvania. You got France, Spain, Portugal, Europe over here. Oh, yeah, you have a lot of trails heading into Spain and Portugal, this whole area, which is not abnormal, but actually there's a lot. I mean, look at that. Look at all that. Europe is the only place in the world that compares to the US. And by the way, all those trails that are coming off New England, those are joining this stream here that's headed right for Europe. So many. What? Wow. It's cool looking at it from this view. You can really see what's going on. And here we are. I'll record this from, actually, I should be zooming in. Why am I? See plenty of trails coming in. All right, we'll go down to the bottom half this time. Yeah, so many coming off of our eastern coastline headed towards Europe. So many trails moving in through Florida and South Carolina and North Carolina. Lots of trails. Wow, look at all these. What a mess this whole area is. But again, remember what I said. They've got smoke. And if, that smoke is up high enough, planes would leave persistent contrails. But again, before the smoke was there, we've been seeing this for a while. So I don't think it's related to the smoke. I mean, I'm sure it's probably exacerbating things a bit, but actually it looks fairly mild compared to how I've seen it. This whole system coming through here is like all trails. It's fresh trails and it's the remnants of previous trails coming from the Pacific Ocean. Look at all that, and it's looking dusty and dirty. Oh. Yep. Florida's getting loaded with trails. It's just another view. I clicked on everything. Lots of trails coming in the Pacific. We'll get a different view of that. So there's Alaska. This is Canada. This is Washington. You can see trails getting left here coming in. You can pause it. There was a fresh one right there. Whoops. Yeah, you can see plenty getting left right here too. And right over here. Just all over the place. See, all over here. Boom, 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 boom. Alaska. Oh yeah, man, Alaska's got a lot of trails coming in. That is a lot of trails. Do they have a extreme blizzard warning? No, I don't believe they did. Lots of trails coming in though. This is unusual for Alaska to see this many. Well, except for the last time, remember when they had that extreme blizzard where um their boats were capsizing due to the weight of the snow. Wow. Zooms out. Yeah, look at all these. Wow, coming in hot. Right over here. Yep. So many trails over here. And all that. Well, you can really get a really get a good view of all these trails being left over here. My goodness. I mean, we got a better view of it before. And then all the way out here in the Pacific, so many that are gonna lead in. And wow, yeah. So this whole area here. Trails here. We have a separate frame for Hawaii specifically. If there are trails in here, I can't see any. There's just too many cloud layers. Gosh, I wish I could easily pause it while I'm looking at it. Or at least click it to pause. I think I might have seen something here. Like that looks like a trail, but it might not be. Well, we already established they're all through here. Close up of Hawaii. I feel like we've already seen, yeah, we already saw all that. I want to see down here. Yeah, so there's some trails. Those are dissipating pretty darn quickly though, and they're starting off lower in altitude. Yeah, see when they get left, they're just poof gone as soon as they're made. See, yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, those are very likely to be just ordinary contrails, not like the ones we saw the night Maduro was captured. This is near Cuba. Sometimes, like when you're really in need of sleep, you'll get bursts of energy and then you'll just get hit with this extreme wave of, I'm gonna fall asleep right where I am. Yeah, lots of them here in northern Mexico. Going up into Texas. I feel like I should take a shower though. If not now, when? If not me, who? That doesn't make sense. Central America. For those of you who haven't checked it out yet, Mr. James O'Keefe flew to Switzerland and snuck into the WEF, convinced people to tell him what they do for a living. And the guy from DARPA talked about artificial rain. It's pretty freaking big for anyone from DARPA to acknowledge that. So kudos to him. And by the way, he has asked me for advice on more than one occasion. So a lot of people say he's deep state. I don't know. I'm not seeing that. And I respect him a lot for getting involved. Because really, I'm totally fine. I love getting involved in this subject. But, the second you do, you instantly become the tinfoil hat wearing person, which, again, I embrace it. A lot of people don't want to embrace being the tinfoil hat person, the conspiracy theorist, which again, I take that as a compliment because it is a compliment to theorize on people's nefarious plans. That is nothing to be made fun of. Those are the people that save their society, their community. All right, now I can't see the whole world with those images, so I am taking advantage of this. Hold on, how do I get rid of that layer? Nope. Hold on 1 second. Okay. I can't see as clearly with this one. Like the NOAA slider, I can see better the lines, and this is a slightly different filter, which isn't as good. Like I know up here in Russia, they've got to have a bunch of trails. 99% of the time they have them. Looks like there might be something going on right here in Mongolia. Whoops, what happened? Whoopsie. Yeah, gosh, this filter's not good. I really shouldn't even try using it. Yeah, see, I wouldn't be able to see trails, but the filter that I need, I haven't been able to find an alternative source for viewing it. But lately, I have been seeing trails moving into New Zealand, not so much Australia. When I have seen them in Australia, it's always in that southwestern corner. And lately, I have been seeing them in Kazakhstan, and there could be some in here. It's so hard to see with this filter. Gosh, I need that nose slider to come back. And you know, I actually did forget to go over earthquakes. So we will close out with this. I will say there are, so this was a 6.2 in Russia today. And this was yesterday in Japan, 6.1. It's not often you see 2 6s like that on the same day close to each other. Normally they're in the 5s if I see them like that. So I thought that was interesting. Mildly interesting. Just I look at this stuff every day so I know what's slightly unusual. But maybe I'm just being nitpicky. Whoa, whoa. Jeez, that's sensitive. My goodness. A 3.8 over in Illinois.